Emma, hello. All right, we have some people here, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So, what's up, everybody? Today, I'm going to be doing basically a live demonstration going through making a simple little music video edit. And so, I'm going to talk you through how I shot the video in the first place, and I'll just basically explain everything that I'm doing as I go while I do the edit. Couple people in chat here. That's awesome. Thank you guys for showing up. I will stop when Premiere's being slow and being a total pain in the butt and see if you guys have any questions or anything to say, or if you just generally feel like harassing me along the way. All right. So without further ado, let's get started. All right. So I've done a little bit of the prep work and the sort of boring part here. I've pulled in the audio. I have a rough mix from the studio where it was recorded, and let me just say, by rough mix I mean it actually sounds really freaking good, so may as well just be the final mix as far as I can tell. And then I've got a folder here with all of the footage that applies to this shoot. Most of this was just a lot of B-roll. I tend to shoot a ton of that while everybody's setting everything up, just to have a lot of different shots that I could cut to if I make other videos out of this. Maybe if I do like a more produced version of this in the future, this little demo. And then I've got all of the takes of the actual video. It is a Christmas song, the name of which is Go Tell It on the Mountain, if you've heard that before. It's like an old school spiritual. And the main clips that we'll be using here will be these last three, which were the final take, which is the one that the studio used, so that way everything will sync up. Just to show you, here we'll do just a moment of the song so you can kind of hear how it sounds.
Over the hills and everywhere, go tell it on the mountain that Jesus is.
So I'm lucky in that he got ahead of me on that one, because otherwise I'd be working with the audio in these clips, which is straight off the camera and not that great. So this here will kind of show you the basic setup. This little clip here is a good example. So I had my primary camera here. This will be kind of, we'll call it the A camera, I guess. This is my 5DSR, my studio camera, really nice little camera. Nice wide lens. I got two umbrellas up just for fill light. I really wanted to use all of the cool funky lighting and the Christmas lights and everything that are going on in the studio there to do most of the lighting. So these really are just kind of flooding the whole room with a little extra light so I could get a cleaner, less noisy image. And then I had my small camera. That would be, let me see here. This here, the G5X. I had this camera sort of off in the back here on this, I don't even remember if that was a bench or a piano that was covered with something or what that was, but anyway, just on a little Gorilla Pod back there so that I had kind of a backup camera. And then there was me with my third camera kind of sneaking around in the wings, zooming in on people and trying to get some shots to cut back and forth to. So I'll kind of show you that. So if we take a look at that camera, you'll see it just starts out with me just kind of getting an initial frame here while everybody's kind of getting their thing together. And then I just kind of roamed around with it. So I tried to be maybe before a phrase starts or just as a verse is going to start. You can see I'll frame it up as fast as I can and try to be there a little before where I think I might make the cut, because the cuts tend to work really well in music when they happen on the beat or on a strong syllable. So either like the downbeat of the music as it changes from verse to chorus, or just in the middle of one, or like when they're saying go tell it on the mountain, maybe the word tell, that would be like a strong syllable to do a cut on. And that applies outside of music videos. That's something I do a lot in my YouTube videos as well. Let me see here. I thought that I was going to be able to see the chat here on my iPad as I went, but I don't, of course. So I'll just check in on you guys as we go along. This is my first time, so expect a lot of awkward dead air until I get used to this whole thing. All right, nothing so far, so let's just keep going. All right, so the first thing that I would do is to go ahead and lay down the music. And the reason I would start with the music is because it's going to kind of be the guide of everything. Well, you know what, actually, this is the fun part about doing it live, is screwing up right in front of everybody. I think I actually know a better way to approach this. So Premiere does a multicam, and what that means is that you can take different footage. Like, for example, we have here the sort of C camera, the little camera, not quite as good an image as the others, but something to cut to when the other two fail. We've got the primary camera. This one's the nice, beautiful front shot that's going to do most of the heavy lifting for the whole video. And then the B camera, the roaming one here. So we can select these three, if Premiere will play nicely with me today. There we go. And we can say create multi-camera source sequence. Now, this is already set up the way that I like to use it. I'd tell it to use the audio from track 1. Oh, wait, actually, let me also make sure that I have this in there as well, just to make sure they don't have to be. Okay, so this will go ahead and sync everything up for me, if I'm lucky. Otherwise, you guys will get to see how to do it the hard way. All right, so yeah, it's going to be doing a sequence of all cameras, and it's set to audio here, track channel 1. They've all got the same audio at some point, so let's see how it goes. I'm a little worried it might not work because there's a little talking and a bad take at the beginning of the video that may not line up with the music, so let's see how this goes. Alright, could not synchronize. That's means we're gonna have to do it the fun way. Let's see what it did get. Looks like it got the 3 cameras just fine. I bet it's just the music that gave it some trouble, which is not a big deal. Okay, so then what we can do here, go into the footage and find that sequence that it just made. There it is. Pull this one out onto the timeline. Actually, no. Open it in the timeline. Don't really want to get on the master sequence just yet. And let's find out kind of where the music starts. Nailed it. Alright. So, the first thing that I'm going to do is make a cut across all of these, and then just go ahead and ripple delete that out of there. Now they all start together. And if we switch this over to multi-camera. Actually, no, that's not going to work right now. What am I doing? We'll do it live, people. Alright, so we've got that basic part synced up, and then we will just make sure that everything tails at the same part. This is probably them laughing, as they always do after a take, so I'll cut it right where I see the silence here. Just go ahead and delete that tail, and then just so I stop getting lost, I'm going to pull this out of the folder here, get it kind of up in the main area if I can. Looks like I just dropped it into effects. There we go. And I like to name things. Some people don't go this far, but especially as you go along and you get a lot of stuff going on, it's really helpful to kind of know what you're looking at. Okay, so we'll take the audio music on the music track here. These tracks are actually just the setup that I use for my YouTube videos, and they really just grew organically out of knowing what kind of things I was using and adding tracks as needed. So what I do is I sort of keep a template file, and whenever I make changes here, I take a note of that, and then I go update it in the template file. And then whenever I start a new video, I just make a duplicate of that file. And that gives me a great starting point like this. Alright, so we'll get the multicam. Let's see. It wants to eat up a few tracks, so I'm going to give it a little room here. And then we need to get it synced up with the music here. So, okay, so there's the first two bells, or these first two peaks right here. And then if I solo this, they are the first small peaks right there. Let's get a little better view on this. So what I really want to do here is just use the audio, the studio audio, as the master guide. That's going to kind of tell every other track what it should do. And then I just find like a nice sharp peak, like this one right here. And just kind of using the command key here, just nudge the multi-track over until they align. Looks like that's about as close as they're going to get. But that's because audio has a bit of a tighter resolution than the 24 frames a second that we're working with in the video here. And then we'll just ripple that out so that they line up. So we're just about set up here. Now's the time to go and set this to multi-camera display mode. And so if you haven't used this before, it's great. You can see your cameras here, and what you can do is you can play the track live and you can watch these cameras, and you can just hit the 1, 2, and 3 keys to jump between the different angles. So probably the first thing that I'll do is just play through the whole song and then jump between these cameras, especially the A and the B camera, as I see fit. So actually, while I'm thinking of it real quick, I'm going to go ahead, now that we can see that they're in line. No, they're not. Alright, I screwed something up there, didn't I? Alright, live troubleshooting, here we go. Jingle, jingle, drum, drum. Okay. Oh. I don't know how I did that, but I did. All right. I was aligning the wrong peaks altogether. So, probably don't need to describe this one too much since we just did it, but now everything should be in sync. Perfect. All right. I'll leave just that little tail at the beginning there, just in case we want to do a fade in right before the music. I might add some, in fact, I know I will. I'm going to add the title and the name of the band. I haven't really mentioned that, I don't think. The band's called Leland's Road. Some good friends of mine. And the studio that we're recording at was called Sawhorse Studios. And the guy back here on the bells actually was doing the recording. His name's Miles Vandiver, or Vandiver. I didn't actually ask him how to pronounce that, so sorry, Miles. But anyway, he did a fantastic job of running back and forth between the control room and actually jumping in here to play the bells with them. Apologize also for the sniffling and stuff. I have had the death virus that's been going around. If anybody lives around St. Louis area, you probably know what I'm talking about, or maybe it's just the season for that kind of thing. I don't know. but I'm lucky that I actually have a voice today. I definitely could not have done this on Wednesday, and Thursday was iffy at best. So if I'm sniffling or coughing, I'll try to mute the mic, but apologize. There's going to be a little bit of that along the way. All right, I want to jump into this multicam for just a moment and do something that I forgot to do. Open that up in the timeline. And I just want to rearrange these a bit. So I'll pull this one up just so I have an extra track to work with. And I could see over here what's going on in the multi-camera. So I want... these are the same clip. That won't do. Looks like we're going to have to manually do one of them there. Alright. The fun never ends. Alright, so this was the third clip here. Just pull that out onto the empty track here. Oops. We need that window. Alright, so we're going to have to manually sync this one up. Again, it's always way easier to sync these things up based on their audio and not based on their video, because you'll have a good visual representation of the exact sync there. So this is actually the important camera. This is going to have to be camera 2. And then I would like camera 1 to be the primary angle. Yeah, there we go. So now when I'm in the multi-camera, I hit 1, 2, and 3. It's going to go between these. And 3 is really just an extra one. This is that G5X. And as you can see, the color is a little bit, just, I don't know, it's just not as nice. I don't think they use a Canon sensor. And when people talk about color science and Canon and it sounds like a bunch of BS, it's really not. They really look good coming right out of the camera, even though they suffer in some other areas like dynamic range and all of that. Let's see. Helps to zoom out and in so you can see kind of the bigger trends in the audio and see if it's really working. If it's really syncing up the way you think. Alright, there's a good peak to go by. Sometimes if you don't have the room to nudge, I'll just pull that right in there so you have a little room to play. Zoom in, get those peaks, see which frame's going to be kind of the closest. Actually, kind of want to shift this one over. It looks like Premiere made a decision I wouldn't have made. And then we'll just pull these back up to the center here. Get these all synced up. Alright, so the point of all that, besides the missing clip, was to go ahead and get these in 1, 2, 3 camera. So we got the primary one I'm going to leave on most of the time. My roaming camera I'm going to be watching. And I probably won't edit in the third camera. As you can see, I'm hiding in the back of some of these shots. But it's just kind of a safety net angle if I need it. Which I'll do manually at the end if I have to. If anybody's got any questions or anything, hit me up. I'm trying to kind of keep an eye on this down here on my iPad as I go as well. Alright, so now we just sit back and we kind of play it through. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on 1. Actually, real quick, I'm going to unlink. That takes the audio and the video and pulls them apart. Delete the audio now that we know that it's synced up. We don't need any of that crappy camera audio. and then, oops, what have I done? Pull this up to the music layer. All right. So I'm just going to make a rough pass going between the cameras, and then you'll see when we're done, everything that I did will appear on the timeline, and then I can go tweak it and line it up just right. So let's give it a go.
Go and tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go and tell it on the mountain that Jesus is born. While shepherds kept their watching, or silent flocks by night, behold, throughout the heavens there shone a holy light. Go and tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go and tell it on the mountain that Jesus is born. The shepherds feared and trembled when low above the earth rang out the angel chorus that hailed our Savior's birth. Go and tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go and tell it on the mountain that Jesus is born. Down in a lonely manger, the humble Christ was born. But God sent salvation on the Christmas morn. Go and tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go and tell it on the mountain that Jesus is born. I said go and tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go and tell it on the mountain that Jesus is born. I said go tell it on the mountain that Jesus is born.
All right, so that wasn't perfect. I missed a few cuts there because I was responding to some people letting me know that I was screwing up my live stream over here, putting the chat in front of everything and covering everything up. I also noticed that for some odd reason, you guys are not seeing all of Premiere, so I am going to fix that right now. Bear with me for just a moment. Those of you that pointed that out to me and are texting me over here, I do appreciate that, seriously. All right, first time, guys. Thanks for bearing with me. I think I should have covered all of the problems now. Yeah, there we go. Now let's get back to it. A couple things went wrong with that first rough cut, one of which just being the fact that I'm choked Premiere to death, probably streaming at the same time. Towards the end of the song there, it wasn't keeping up at all with what I was doing, and then also pausing to fix some things, but hey, that's the way it goes. But we do have a cut now, and what we can do is go start looking at these. So I know the first mistake that I made is that I really wanted to start with this angle here. Let's go ahead and get out of the multicam mode. It's not quite as helpful at this point. Get the chat out of the way again. Alright, let's just pause for just a second. Actually, let's check out the chat, see what you guys are up to. I see there's a little activity happening there. Alright. So, damn, that sounds good. I know, right? These guys are a really tight band. They played together for the last few years, and I've really watched them grow, and they sound really good. And Sawhorse, man, Miles did a fantastic job there. My audio recording side really geeked out watching him kind of set up and see how he runs a session, and a lot more smoothly than I ever do down in my little, piece together basement studio I got going on here. And then Olivia asks how I got into video editing. It was actually the first videos that I ever made, just kind of family videos. So when I first got a video camera that was capable of doing this kind of stuff, I started shooting my little nephew during his first year. I just shot tons of footage of him interacting with the family and stuff like that, and I made kind of a music video. I'd love to share it, but it's all copyrighted music that, like, Bob Marley's Three Little Birds and stuff like that would immediately get ripped off of YouTube the moment that I shared it. But that's kind of where I got started with that. I'd been a photographer my whole life, but this video thing I started maybe 9 to 10 years ago, and I never did it regularly. It just kind of popped up here and there as, oh, I could do video on that project, that'd be fun. And I used to do animation a lot when I was a kid, so a lot of the concepts from animation made it kind of easy for me to pick it up. And then the photography stuff taught me a little bit to get started, but I realized very quickly video is a whole other animal than photography. And anyway, I only really started getting good at it over the last year since I started doing YouTube videos. So trial by fire, just, start dabbling with something on the side, maybe just show it to a few people around, and then as you get more confident, start putting your stuff out there, and before you know it, you know your way around. Looks like that's it for now, so let's go ahead and get back to it. Alright, so we have all of these rough cuts here. That's the one I thought I just pulled out. When you're out of the multicam mode, you can just change them after the fact. So, and we'll give this one just on a command click. I'll add a little dot there. The default little keyframe line that you have there is opacity. We'll just, for now, we'll just do a little fade in. This is going to be really difficult because I believe I've set an offset in OBS, the software that I stream with. And so now I'm hearing that offset, and it looks like the video and audio are out of sync. So somebody in the chat let me know, are they actually out of sync, or am I just hearing them that way? I would appreciate that. Alright, so right there at the go. Looks like it's that audio peak right there. And not the beginning of the audio peak, but the center here. When the syllable kind of hits its highest point, I have found to be a really good spot for a cut. And that's just something I learned from trial and error. We want that to move back to on the mountain. Okay. Not totally happy with that cut because this video got boring too early. So I think I'll do it on that drum hit right there instead. Alright. Looks like they're still out of sync, and I don't know how that happened, but we're going to do a video audio sync on the fly here. At this moment, we see Miles hits the sleigh bell the first time. So I am just going to use the M key here, put a marker right there. We are going to find that is the peak right there. So what I do sometimes, and there may be a better way, but I just put the beginning of the clip at what I'm trying to align, and then the clip will snap to the marker that was made. So this should be better for everyone here. Alright, and that's going to be a world easier for me. I'm glad it wasn't just the stream. And then there's the cut. Alright. I am going to go back to multi-camera because I realize I missed some of those cuts earlier, so it'd be nice to know what the other camera is doing.
Go and sell it on the mountain, over the hills, and everywhere. Go and sell it on the mountain.
Alright. Tell would be a good spot here. Make a little cut to the shot where we have Kristen. See how that goes. See how that works.
Go and sell it on the mountain that Jesus is born.
Nope. Alright.
Go and sell it on the mountain that Jesus is born.
Because I pulled out that shot.
While shepherds kept their watching, or silent flocks by night, behold, throughout the heavens there shone a holy light.
Let's see if
Beware.
Tyler's the lead singer on the left there. Right here.
Go and sell it on the mountain that Jesus.
So let's see if I can make this cut work.
That Jesus is. That Jesus is born. While
That would have to be the spot.
shepherds kept. While shepherds kept their watching, or silent flocks by night.
The peak of his vocal right there. We'll cut back since I switched
Flocks
the
by
camera.
night, behold, throughout the heavens there shone a holy light. Go and sell it on the mountain, over
Decent.
Go,
We'll do it right on go.
go and sell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go and sell it on the mountain, everywhere.
Do it on go again.
Go and tell it on the mountain that Jesus is born. The shepherds feared and
Why are we out of sync again?
the shepherds feared and trembled when lo.
Let's see if that's.
Go and tell it on the mountain
Nope. We're out of sync there.
by night.
Let's see.
Jesus is born.
Gotta figure out where they
Mountain over the hill. Go and sell it.
appears to be everything past that first cut. Alright. This is the exciting part of doing it live. I'm going to scoot these back, get this one in sync, and then hopefully they will all sync up. there's go. Put a marker there. And then mute this so it gets out of our way. Looks like go is somewhere in this neighborhood. It really should be in sync there then.
Go and sell it on the mountain.
Let's find one that's easier. That is definitely an M on Tyler's mouth, so let's put right there. Let's see where the audio is.
Go and sell it on the
So it looks like it's only slightly
mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go and sell it on the mountain that Jesus is born. Over the hills and everywhere.
Alright, now that we got a basic idea, we need to look at Andrew back here on the drums and see if those drum hits are in sync. That's the sharpest sound you can get.
Mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go and tell it on the mountain that Jesus is born.
Looks like we're in business. Alright. These trailing clips should still sync up now. Let's see if it's an audio drift problem maybe. If these later cameras are in sync.
Everywhere, go and tell it on the mountain that Jesus is born.
Do not know why the audio is drifting. That is a huge pain. That is just gonna mess everything up until I get it fixed. Try to sync it up.
Go and tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go and tell it on the mountain that Jesus is born. While shepherds kept their watch.
Maybe I just solved it. Let's see.
While shepherds kept their watch.
Let's get that in line. Alright. Doing a little bit of triage here. I'm sure this is riveting television.
While shepherds.
So we cut on shepherds.
Go and tell it on the mountain.
How in the hell am I going to find that? Let's jump in to the multicam for a second. One nice thing, and I'm just trying to figure this one out on the fly, is that we can put markers inside here and we'll see them in the master. There's shepherd right on this peak here. So if I put this marker here, now when I go back, I can look for that in here. Pull this up. Got some room. There it is. Oh, actually though, just lost all my alignment doing that. Need to do it this way. Alright. Now, wish me luck. This is all gonna be
over the hills and every.
Of course not. Alright, let's scrap that rough cut. We'll do it the long way. Let's get this aligned. There.
while shepherds kept their watching or
check one thing here. I'm starting to think that maybe, yeah, these are not aligned in here. So it's one little screw up can cascade and screw up everything. Yeah, I do not think these are in the same place. Let's get in there. Yeah. All right. Well, at least we found the culprit. The